Okay.
You mentioned to me that he suffers from mental health issues and a number of physical issues. Why don't you tell me what those issues are?
Okay. He's paranoid schizophrenia real bad. He has high blood pressure and some problems with his stomach. That's about it. But he's drawing his disability based on his mental health. Paranoid schizophrenia was the last thing they gave us.
Okay, has he been seen by a doctor or a psychiatrist regarding his mental health issue? I'm assuming that he has.
Yes, he has.
Okay.
And he's prescribed medicine but sometimes James won't take his medicine. But he's on his medicine real well since he got in this trouble.
Okay. Second thing, let's go over this alleged assault against a police officer because that's what the officer is describing. So this is an event that happened on June 17th, 2015, and essentially what the officer claims is that he went to get James out of the car, and that James tensed up and then headbutted him, and then that he attempted to pin the car. He attempted to pin James against the car to prevent him from doing it again. That James then reached up and tried to poke the officers in the eye. That the officer took him to the ground, attempted to restrain him, and that the officer was then kicked by James in the back of the head. He continued to resist and stomped on his uniform. This is all again by what the officer says. And then he says once inside the back seat, James kicked out the camera in his car and broke it off the mount. He also kicked it a second time and so on. And then he says James was taken to ER. Now, what this report leaves out are some of the things that you told me, and I'm going to go over them. Then I want you to tell me in your own words what actually happened, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then I'm going to follow up with interviewing James to get his statement directly from him. Basically, what you told me is that, yes, there was an altercation, and yes, James was upset, but that what James told you after this incident with the police happened is much different than the officer's version, and that James told you that though he had initially resisted, he was already handcuffed, and the officer continued to beat him, got on his chest, was sitting on him while he was punching him directly in the face, and while James was completely defenseless because his hands were cuffed behind his back. Did that happen?
Yes, sir. Put the handcuffs on top of the car, because when we saw I saw the video up at the court when they pressed him to the ground. They had the handcuffs on him and rushed him to the ground, and then started setting James' stomach, and then started beating his face.
Is that on video?
Yeah, but I tried to get that video. See, we saw that when Kevin Bishop, the attorney, when we had to turn him for the criminal thing, wouldn't let me see it again. They let us see it, and James was so upset at court. And you know how we had to keep him kind of calm? He wouldn't watch it. My sister and I and my brother watched it. They put them handcuffs, according to this video, on James on the front end of this car, then proceeded to throw him to the ground. We couldn't see it to actually beat him, but when he come up, because they see I think they messed with the video, to be truthful, Mr. Carmel. That's when he come up all beat up. Then they put him in the car. They did show us when he was kicking the camera down out the wall, and I asked James, why did you do that? He said, man, I was mad because they hurt me pretty bad down on that, when he beat me in my face. We saw on the video where other police was coming up, but we didn't see them do anything. Or they kind of blocked that out or whatever.
So let me ask you a question.
I'm wondering,
it says that it broke his orbital lobe. Was his face fractured?
Yes. Yes, he had surgery on that. I got the doctor's report and stuff. Yeah, his face was fractured. He had to go in and have some surgery done because I think it got over into it where he breathing at, where the fracture moved over to it, stopped up his sinus or something like that. And Mr. Cormel.
Okay, and
They
this
not
officer who did this is named Corey Hamby.
yes. And James said he forgot everything. I think he knocked him out there for a period of time. But James is a real strong person.
So let me start with asking you to simply tell me, what happened that night, how you came in contact with the police, and then how you came to be severely injured with your eye. I think your eye was cracked. Your lobe was cracked. How did all that happen?
Well, first me and a friend of mine was going over to his cousin's house to work on the carburetor.
Mm-hmm.
I was setting up the road, and I was drinking. I probably shouldn't have been drinking, and I was going to take it with me for him to pick me up. He came to pick me up. So we went over there, and when we pulled up in the driveways, they pulled up behind us. I didn't even see them when they pulled up. And I get out the car, and I set the whiskey bottle down by the wheel to go in and get Moose in to tell him what I was going to do. And he came up to me, and he reached up and he poured the whiskey out. And then he reached over and got my hands and put handcuffs on me. And I kind of shunned him off like what it was for, and he threw me down on the ground. When I rolled over, he started hitting me in my face. And, when I got back up, I didn't know what had happened until I got back up. When I got back up and he got ready to put me in a police car and I see my eye, that's when, then I kind of got a little more rougher with him then. And then I backed up and ran and wanted to know what happened and knocked his head off his
Let me back up, because this is something I didn't know from your sister's telling of the story. What actually happened, because I read the police report, and in the report, he never really explains why you got so upset, but he just basically says you were violent and angry the whole time, and that you got in the car and kicked out his camera or his window. My question to you is, are you telling me that he had already beaten you up, and then that's why you were upset?
Yeah, that's why when I seen the reflection of my eye, that's when I got upset, because I didn't. He must have knocked me out, because I remember him rolling me over and going back and hitting me, but I don't remember, Then I remember getting up, and then when he put me in the car, get ready to put me in the car, and then I rolled back and wanted, I did kind of. But I didn't use my hands or nothing. I did kind of roll back on and wanted to know what happened to my eye.
Okay, well, let me back up. I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago. So when you first came into contact with the officer, you're with a friend, he's driving, you had some alcohol, the officer found the alcohol, poured it out, they put the handcuffs on you. At that point, had you been in a fight with them or resisting or fighting back in any way?
No.
Okay.
No.
So at the point, he basically, so I'm just asking you this because the way he wrote the report in a way where it looks like you just started fighting with him right from the start, and you're telling me something different. Is that right?
Yeah. I just started fighting. So I just kind of asked him what he put me on the arrest for, And how did he know I was over here and what he was putting me on the arrest for? He had already put the handcuffs on me when he got.
So he had already arrested you. He put the handcuffs on you, and then he slammed you to the ground after that without any reason.
Yeah. Then he rolled me over. He was hitting me in my face.
So he slammed you to the ground, and he began striking you in the face. But I want to make sure I understand this. This is an important issue. When he did that, when he first handcuffed you and slammed you to the ground, was there a fight leading up to that, or he just did that on his own?
No, he just did that on his own. It wasn't a fight. He just slammed me to the ground. I don't remember. All I remember is getting up and he put me in the police car. At that first lick, after the first lick,